So today I want to talk to you about the timing of your divorce process. When people seek out family transitions, they're doing it on purpose because they're deliberately trying to avoid the trauma and the expense that they know is built into the traditional divorce system, right? So we have created a process and a program that very deliberately is avoiding all of that. But when people come into me, the coaching part of what we do here is really often at the early stages centered around the timing. It is critical if you want to maintain calm or a calmer atmosphere in your divorce. You have to understand that one spouse is typically the reluctant spouse and needing to move a little bit slower because they're not in the same place emotionally. They're still earlier on in their grieving process, right? The other spouse has been thinking about this for a long time, has been, reading my stuff on Facebook or thinking it through, talking to their friends. So that spouse is feeling more eager to move forward. And so what I have to do is really say to them both, like, look, slow and steady. And when I say slow and steady, I don't mean, we're not doing anything. It is a very deliberate, it should take you about 6 months. So you come in at the start of a separation and you know that, hey, if we just follow the steps, there is light at the end of the tunnel and we can totally get there within 6 months, right? That 6 months is really not an accident. It's a time period that allows the anxious spouse or the eager spouse to feel like they're making progress and they're moving in the right direction and we're getting there. And it's the right time period to allow the reluctant spouse to really have time to process and not feel like we're doing a sudden traumatic change. You guys have probably all heard the expression sudden change. Sudden change equals traumatic change. And so when you're coming into family transitions, you really need to have that thought, like this is going to be slow and steady, step by step. And again, I should say slower because typical divorce is infinitely longer, right? So family transitions might be slow. It's slower than you might be wanting to move, but it's infinitely faster than the traditional divorce process, which is really, unless you come to a full agreement before you head into the system in any way, is going to take you 18 to 36 months. That's on average. And I've been in cases that went on much longer than that. So if you think about the expense and the time involved with that, 6 months is like, hey, we're still moving here and we've got light at the end of the tunnel and we can start to heal and we can start to breathe. But we're also being compassionate for the emotional space where our spouse is, where they're still kind of like struggling with the fact that this is actually happening, and we've got to really sort of nurture that. So it's not an accident. 6 months is on purpose. And regardless of how you decide to move through your divorce, just know that if you're going too fast, your spouse is going to put the brakes on. They're going to feel overwhelmed and fearful. They're going to run out and hire a lawyer, and that's a disaster. And that spouse who's feeling reluctant has to understand that if they put their head in the sand and they pretend this isn't happening and they kind of, like steamroll you, or the opposite of that, like, refuse to participate, then you're going to go out and hire a lawyer and say, okay, I'm going to get your attention. If you're not hearing me, I'm going to get your attention. So the sweet spot is really important. It's really critical to maintain calm and really move forward in a way that is literally a transition for your family and not a sudden traumatic change or this long, drawn out, traumatic, torturous process. All right, so if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.